As always with Lacan, there is here already also a wordplay, because if you pronounce it quickly in French, le nom du père also means names of the father. Okay, but let's not go into that. In his typical arrogant way, Lacan asks the question. He speaks, of course, he was a megalomaniac in the third person about himself. He said, Lacan, what was it that Lacan, who is here present, invented? Then he answers, he says, like that, to get things going, object A, l'objet petit a. He said, so it's typical that when he's pressed to isolate what did he really bring new, it's not any of the usual phrases like desire is the desire of the other, the unconscious is structured like language, there is no sexual relationship. He says, my true invention is objectita, the object small a, the object cause of desire. And as we can immediately see, anyone who knows Lacan, although he uses this term from the very beginning of his teaching, this term gets really elaborated only from the late 60s, 70s, when Lacan massively returns to reading Capital. It's a clear connection between Lacan's object small a as the so-called plus de jouir, surplus enjoyment, and Marxist surplus meerwert, surplus value. So, to begin with, I would simply like to elaborate on this link. I will treat you as idiots, but don't be afraid, the real idiot here is me, in the sense of I'm obsessed with this idea that one should state things as clearly as possible. So, to explain what is object A, I would like to begin, I'm sorry if some of you know this example of mine already, with Pokemon Go, the game. I think there we can see not only object A, but how it is useful for our everyday ideology. As you know, I'm sorry if I treat you like idiot now, Pokemon Go is a location-based augmented reality game, typically played on mobile phones. So players use the device's GPS and camera to capture, battle, and train virtual creatures, Pokemon, who appear on the screen as if they were in the same real-world location as the player. As players travel the real world, their avatar moves along the game's map. This augmented reality mode is what makes Pokemon Go different from other PC games. Instead of taking us out of the real world and drawing us into artificial virtual space, it combines the two. We look at reality and we interact with reality through the fantasy frame of the digital screen. And this frame supplements reality with virtual elements which sustain our desire to participate in the game, pushing us to look for them in a reality which, without this frame, would leave us indifferent. Sounds familiar, this simple description? Of course it does. What the technology of Pokemon Go externalizes is simply, I claim, the basic mechanism of ideology. At its most basic, ideology is the primordial version of augmented reality. Again, to simplify things to the utmost, did Hitler not offer the Germans in 1930s the fantasy frame of Nazi ideology, which made them see a specific Pokemon, the Jew, of course? You know, just imagine what do you do with Pokemon game. Again, that's the crucial thing. That's the greatness of this game. It's not you are drawn into some imaginary world. You are there, but you see more than it is. And that's, in a very vague parallel, the achievement, if I use this obscene word, of Nazism. You walk along the street and you see Pokemons. You see Jewish plot and so on and so on. The Jew was popping up all around and provided the clue to what one has to fight against. And I think the same holds for all other ideological pseudo-entities, which have to be added to reality in order to make it complete and meaningful. For example, one can easily imagine And a friend told me that they already exist. They are pirated, bad copies, but nonetheless in Germany, anti-immigrant versions of Pokemon Go, where you wander around a German city and then you have a Muslim immigrant popping up, an Arab rapist popping up, and so on and so on. Now, of course, you will immediately counterattack. Is the anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, which makes us see the Jewish plot as the source of our troubles, not radically different from the Marxist approach, which observes social life as a battleground of economic and other power struggles? Because, of course, in Germany's left already tried to answer this with constructing the leftist version of Pokemon Go. Like, you see rich bankers, you see capital behind. But I think there is a big difference. In Marxism, the secret beneath all the confusion of social life are social antagonisms, not individual agents which can be personalized in the guise of Pokemon figures. Pokemon Go does in an inherent way tend towards ideologically personalized perception of social antagonisms. In the case of bankers threatening us from all around, it is easy to see how such a figure can easily be appropriated by a fascist populist ideology of plutocracy as opposed to honest, productive capitalists, and so on and so on. So let's not go into it. I only want to say this, that isolate the basic mechanism of Pokemon Go. We live in gray, boring reality. You add a fantasy frame, which makes you see something more, hidden figures in reality, which also triggers your desire. All of a sudden, you become an engaged observer, you look for Pokemon and so on. And this would be, again, ideology at its most elementary, and at the same time, the function of object small a. Object small a is precisely, in very elementary sense, the object cause of your desire, what you add to reality, to be vulgar, to make it interesting. And here also we see in what sense object A functions, because the whole point is that this object A, for the Nazis, the Jew, should remain unseen. It is hidden behind, but you shouldn't see it too clearly. If object A is perceived as, I thought this is a reminder, Pokemon is answering, I'm here. Is seen as directly part of reality, you become a psychotic, you know. The point is that it should remain unseen, a mystery, and so on and so on. But you get the point. It is something which allows you to read confused reality. It makes it readable.